We keep things rolling on a very busy edition of the Sports Cubicle and Sports from the Couch here on WCPT 820 AM Heartland Signal.com, WSBC 1240 AM Chicago. And if you would like to see the video version of the show, check us out over on YouTube at The Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, and this is a story that will continue to develop over the next few days, weeks, and months. And when it hit the newswire on Thursday morning, it had not only the NBA world shook, but the entire sports world kind of stood still. And that is even when Thursday Night Football, the NFL is in the middle of this season. We have a World Series, the NBA, not about its opening week, not about the NBA on NBC returning, not about Inside the NBA now on ESPN, but about a multi-person arrest by the federal government linked to gambling and so many other shady business, including rigging games and working with the mafia. So we have a lot to get into. I have a bunch of reports from CNNSports.com, but why don't we actually listen to really fast the FBI director, Kash Patel, talk about this whole situation and how it came to fruition. And, obviously we know here that this administration is going to use this to the fullest extent that they can to prop themselves up. And, kudos to them if they have figured this out. But there's a lot to break down about that. So why don't we actually listen to a minute or two of this press conference that was a good almost 40 minutes.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Casa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchesi crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation.
And look, there's no other word to say than just ground shaking, just foundation shaking. And this has been a rough offseason for Adam Silver, and it has been now an even worse start to an NBA season I think any commissioner could imagine, and Adam Silver really must be feeling the hot seat. But there's so many stories to go to. So let's look at this one about Terry Rozier. So this is from CNN's Elisa Hammond and Haven or Chiro Egritz, so shout out to them. How Terry Rozier allegedly faked an injury to win scheme members thousands in bets. Terry Rozier, an NBA player who was playing for the Charlotte Hornets at the time, took himself out of a 2023 game with a fake injury so other members of the scheme could bet on his statistics, prosecutors allege in new court documents. Officials say Rozier told De Niro last year, who he had known since childhood, that he was going to remove himself from the Hornets' March 23rd, 2023 game against the New Orleans Pelicans in the first quarter due to a head injury, the indictment says. Hornets officials were not aware of his plan to exit the game early, prosecutors said, nor were betting companies. And you can check out the rest of that article. And the NBA Players Union reacts to arrest. The NBA Players Association has issued its first statement after the news of current and former players being arrested in gambling probe. The NBA said Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier are in immediate leave from their teams and league's first statement since the news of their arrest this morning. We are in the process of reviewing the federal indictments announced today, the league said in a statement. Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups are being placed on immediate leave from their teams, and we will be continuing to cooperate with the relevant authorities. We take these allegations with the utmost seriousness, and the integrity of our game remains our top priority. Billups coached the Portland Trail Blazers opening game on Wednesday, while Rozier set up the Miami Heat's opener against the Orlando Magic. So, I mean, look, there's so much to break down. You know, you have one report saying Damon Jones was leaking information about what LeBron James' status was going to be. And you also hear about them rigging shuffling machines for big-time poker games. This is going to be something that they make movies about, that they write books about. This is going to be something that doesn't end in the 2025-2026 season. So let's just take a second to kind of break a lot of this down, because it is a little bit of, I don't know if nuance is the right word, but all of us who have watched sports long enough, hell, if you watched a movie or two, we know that there's always been shady, under-the-table money that has moved around in pro, college, high school sports. It is what it is. It's as true as the dawn of money being exchanged during the middle of a game. Somebody betting a hot dog, somebody betting a Coke. Since those times, that has been the truth. This is not new. You've had players in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s that were making bets offshore or with a bookie or through a cousin or through a friend or through an assistant or through a manager. The big difference now is that multi-billion-dollar deals have been signed and money has been exchanged between these betting companies, lobbyists, and these pro leagues. So now everybody's making money, everybody's invested, but more importantly, everybody's being tracked. We can see what bets you're making. We can see who made said bets, who's cashing out, what weird spikes are happening. Any little trend that seems out of the norm is now being dissected and analyzed by every one of these companies, by every one of these leagues. And that is in its own way, that is the hypocritical part of it. Because while all that is true and it's all above board and it's something we all wanted, we couldn't wait for the sports book to open up out of our favorite stadium. We couldn't wait to make our parlays. The idea that everybody's in shock and these leagues are in awe is just now that they have the information and it becomes public, or it's easy to become public. How many times have you heard stories of these huge, big-time money poker games between players? Or some of these players ending up in debts in the NFL, in golf. I mean, how many times do we have to hear about Phil and his gambling habits? It's not the first time that we have heard about sports and gambling and money. It's just now who has vested interest in it. So it is a weird place for the American government to kind of stand. I think you kind of have to, right? Like, you have to nip this in the bud. But the idea that this is some major Godfather level movie of a bust really shows just how naive. And I'm not talking about the U.S. government. I'm talking about the people who are going to read the story, see everything on SportsCenter, watch all the news as it comes down. It is the naiveness to believe that, oh, this only happens now. As if this doesn't happen on every level. I mean, do you not know? Just read a book about Friday Night Lights in Texas in the 80s. This is it's a big story because the United States government has gotten involved. People have been arrested. The word gambling and fixing and shaving when it comes to these big time sports, those are huge red flags. Those are big bold letters. And, I like to put a couple bucks on a game or two every once in a while. I am in group chats where it is the big thing that a lot of people do think these games are fixed and scripted. And no league has the darkest cloud that follows them when it comes to allegations of corruptness, of shadiness, of fixing than the NBA. All the way from games and referees to their damn draft. This is a league that constantly is being accused of weird behavior. And here they are, front and center. After a wonderful first few days of the NBA season to start 2025-2026 campaign. It's not only just about gambling. It's not just poker. You're talking about players who deliberately affected the game, changed stats, gave out information, talked about some of the best players in the league and gave out that info, while also signing big-time deals with DraftKings and BetRivers and FanDuel and Underdog. Name your favorite betting sites. So what leg do they have to stand on? How far do we want to take this? And this is just the beginning, but it's going to be a fascinating story. I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about the United States government going and arresting a bunch of former players, current players in a huge time NBA gambling sting, including the mafia, as a probe was done in rigging and gambling NBA games? It's fascinating. Let us know your thoughts. We have a whole lot left on this edition of the Sports Cubicle and Sports from the Couch. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. Make sure you're tuning in to us here on WCPT 820 AM, HeartlandSignal.com, and WSBC 1240 AM Chicago. Make sure you subscribe to us over on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. We'll be right back.